garden. Hey, garden gals and guys, it's Steph with Tiny's Garden. Welcome back. I am gardening in Zone 5B for any of you who are new here in the Chicago suburbs. And today I am having a nice quiet evening by the fire, going to talk to you about my top 5 highlights from the 2021 season. There was a lot that happened this year, and I narrowed it down to 5 things that I thought were game changers or the best part about this past season. So we're gonna take a trip down memory lane. I will throw up some video or pictures that I have from my personal camera and video so you can get an insider scoop of what all those times were like. But it's been a good year, and it makes me excited for the year to come. So let's dive right in. The first one is the flowers. I'm cutting straight to the chase. This may seem like a no-brainer, but I am telling you, this year, the flowers that I grew are the best I have ever had. It's been, I believe, my 3rd season of growing flowers on a very avid hobby flower grower basis. And I think it's only going to get bigger this coming year, but the flowers, the quality from the seed starting all the way up to the bloom time. I had flowers blooming from May through November. That is from bulbs, tulips, and daffodils, all the way through to the end of the season in the fall with dahlias. With all 6 of those peach-colored dahlias in here, and plants that thrive all the way through the fall. So look at the sky. We've got zinnias in the front, cosmos in the back. So it has just been a year for the flowers. I will make a separate video about my favorites and maybe my must-haves, because that's a whole nother long video. But the quality, the textures, the variety, all of those things are why I'm saying the flowers is definitely my top highlight. I had buckets and buckets to harvest. This is the biggest harvest I've ever had. I'm very proud of it. I'm very excited to use them. I was able to make bouquets. I was able to fill my house with them, give some to neighbors, spread the love with all those flowers, and I'm so grateful that the quality was as high as it was, and it just makes me more excited to grow them for this coming year too. Even more. We're going bigger, people. We're going bigger. There are a couple of my favorite harvests that I remember. October 8th was a great one. I'm gonna try and find those pictures exactly on the day. There's also some in August. I've got color running through my veins, okay? I love color, so I try and get a lot of color variety in there. And when I harvest all those, especially my Home Depot orange bucket, it is just vibrant and exuberant, and I can't get enough of all those pictures and harvest. It just makes my heart flutter. You know, when my heart flutters, it's fluttering. Oh, it sends me to the moon. My last harvest, I think, was November 10th. That is how long the harvest season was. I was harvesting dahlias and some surprise anemones in November. I specifically know a bouquet I made November 10th and was thinking, wow, I'm still harvesting here. For your reference, usually our first frost date is October 15th. So almost a month later, those flowers were still giving me life. Next, that brings me to seed starting season. The second thing is I had a great seed starting season. I went balls to the wall this year, everybody, and my goodness, did I show it. Spoiler alert, we've got over 1,000 seedlings. I started Lisianthus in January. That's always the first thing that I start here. It was actually January 13th and 14th is when I started group 1 and group 2 and 3 Lisianthus. If you're not sure about the groups of Lisianthus, don't worry about it. I'll touch on that in a later video. But I started in January and started moving them out in March. I believe March 20th was the day. I brought up 18 trays. I've got 18 trays to move out there into the greenhouse to start hardening off and take out to the greenhouse. And I think I even had more than that because I found more in other areas. I have more. During seed starting season, it seems like there's just seeds and seedlings everywhere in my little home. But I did count it up. I did a video and counted up all of my seedlings, and I had 1,012 seedlings that I started last spring, and it was a riot. It was a lot of fun. It was a ton of work. And I also had some heartbreak in there. I went away for vacation and had our neighbor boy watch them, and bless his heart, he did the best he could, but I lost probably about half. So I did come home to, I would say, about half of my seedlings dead. Completely dead, donezo. It happens, you know? I just chalked it up to experience, and I wasn't mad at him by any means. He did his best. So we just live and learn, and now I know I need to do something a little different for this year to ensure that those seedlings grow up to their full potential. But hey, I still had probably at least 500, if not a little more. So my baby still grew up. Don't worry, it was okay. We live and we learn. But all in all, yes, it was a really successful seed starting season. I put up a new seed starting station. I was running out of room with the 2 that I already had, so that was exciting, and I've got plenty of space. And now that I'm saying that, I'm wondering, do I need to start up another seed starting station? Not yet, not yet. Pump the brakes. But I'm thrilled with the results from seed starting in 2021 and looking forward to 2022. Infrastructure is next. My father-in-law made me 14 raised beds out of wood, which I'm very grateful for, and that is how I was able to grow so many more flowers this year. I had a tiny cut garden the year before this year, and it did really well in its tiny space. You can definitely grow a lot of flowers in a small space. I loved that. But I wanted more this year, and so he made me those raised beds, and we got them set up 6 in the front and 8 in the back, and it just gave me so much room to work with. Big learning year with learning about those raised beds and how to plant in them and how closely to plant, and I learned I can plant even more next year. I went a little wide on the spacing. I don't need to be that cautious. So that's something that is exciting going into next year. And I was able to paint them, which I love the way they look painted in the front. I got those 6 painted. The ones in the back, I'm just gonna have to paint this spring, which is okay. Rome wasn't built in a day, but I love how they've turned out, and it adds a really charming, whimsical look in the back, and it's just wonderful and magical when those beds are filled with flowers. So I'm grateful for that. The reason I have those raised beds is because we live in a woodland, and the soil is very clay-like. This village that I live in is not old. It was created in the 1960s, and it was all wood. So if that gives you an idea of the ground I'm dealing with, I can't do a ton in the ground itself. And I'm limited on light space. So where I have placed those raised beds is about the only light I have. We have a lot of shade on our property. Trees, trees, and some more trees. Little bit of sunlight back there. And back to some more trees. And so cut flowers need so much light, 6+ hours, that I placed them in the best spots I could with the light I am given. And the second thing is infrastructure-wise, we also had my irrigation guy come out, and he set up drip to all of those beds, tapped into our sprinkler system, and was able to get irrigation in each of the beds, which also is a game changer. I'm not hand watering all of those beds. So if you have raised beds and you're thinking about irrigation, I highly recommend it. I will put on the screen what irrigation timer I used. I got one based on his recommendation, and it's really great. You can turn it on from your phone, or you can set an actual timer for it to come on every day. So I will put that on the screen and also put it in the description below so you get an idea of where you could maybe find that. But it's worked really, really well for me. And without that infrastructure, I wouldn't have all the flowers that I had. So win-win. We're getting there. Number 4. My bouquet work, I feel like, improved this year. And again, I'm not a professional. I did it for bouquets in my house, some bouquets for my mom, well, several bouquets for my mother. Hi, Mom. Some for my niece, some really fun ones for my niece, really vibrant colors and bright, unique textures and color palettes. That was probably one of my favorite ones. But I grew in that area And I'm happy about that because I want to potentially sell flowers in the future. We'll see if that happens this year or not. But it's great to practice, and you have to start somewhere. So I think they improved on the year before, and my best advice for you is just to get your hands in there and keep doing it. I did a really fun filler experiment this year where I started 3 different vases full of flowers without what you would consider filler. And filler are plants and stems that you put in that are basically just foliage to take up some space in the bouquet, but you can have really pretty foliage like red mahogany splendor hibiscus. So I did an experiment of the vases just with the flowers in with no filler, and then I went out, gathered some filler up, brought it in, and added it to those vases to see the difference. And I have to tell you, some of them without the filler were really stunning. I loved how they looked without the filler as well. Those are some of my favorite pictures from this past year. But also, it looked great with the filler too. So it's just kind of to each their own, I think. But things like that, learning through process, getting my hands in there, putting some bouquets together for different people, for myself. I handed some off to my neighbors, some little ones. It's nothing's better than getting in there with your hands and just doing it and learning through the process. So I was happy with that. Happy with my bouquet work this year. And then the last thing is I did put together a baby shower display for one of my dear friends' baby showers in September. And that is the first thing I have done where my flowers that I have grown are on display in a way that I have put them together and constructed a display, if you will. And I was feeling the pressure. I did it just as a kindness thing. She told us that we were gonna throw a shower, and I was all in, and I said, okay, I'll do the flowers for it. So I did, and my father-in-law cut out the background, which turned out beautiful. I used her shower colors on the boards, gorgeous, and then I just went to work and harvested all the flowers that I could that September day for her shower and put it together. And I have to say, I was really proud of myself. It was the first time I worked with floral foam, but everything came together really beautifully. Cosmos dahlias, a lot of September blooming things, fall blooming things, and I'm happy with it. That was, for me, a big milestone this year of that I can have some confidence and put my flowers out there in the world. And she really loved it and was very appreciative. So that was a fun project. Maybe I'll do something else like that in this coming year. But again, learned a ton through that with working with the floral foam and wetting it and what flowers need to be in quick dip before I'm putting them into the floral foam, things like that. Quick dip is something that'll help weepers or foliage that tends to weep and droop. It'll stay more rigid and upright. So, it was just, again, a learning experience. If I had any words to describe this past year, it would be probably what I said before, learning through process, getting those raised beds in there, using the irrigation, figuring out how and when to use irrigation, the spacing in those beds, seed starting, what I need to do on vacation when I'm going away, all of the different things like that, all the way into harvesting and putting bouquets together. I did it because I learned through process. I learned as I went. I did do the Floral workshop last year in 2021. That was really helpful. But on top of that, if I didn't get out there and actually do it with my hands and learn with my hands through experience, I wouldn't be where I am and feel as confident as I feel going into next year that I'm going to have a good season, that I can start these seeds, that I can take on things like I just posted. I'm going to try to take on soil blocking this year. That's going to be an adventure, but I'm feeling confident I can do those things. So if you're new or if you're on the fence about trying something new in the cut flower world or a new technique, just dive in and get your hands in there and learn through the process. That's by far what you should take away. But it was great to do this video, a little trip down memory lane. And a lot of you, if you've been following me for a while, you probably remember some of these. It was a big year for me, especially from that little cut flower space to having 14 raised beds and making it work and seeing the difference in volume and just reveling in the flowers. Oh, that's why we're here, right? That's what it's all about. They give us joy, fill our hearts, and then we spread it with the world. So it was a win. It was a win this year, my friends. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I'd love to have you on this journey with me here. And please comment below. And if you've been following me for a while, comment about what you enjoyed best about this last year on my channel. I really love the feedback. I'm hoping to bring you more of these things that are interesting or helpful to you. And also let me know what you're looking forward to in 2022. New things, new adventures, new techniques. Please tell me all about it. And otherwise, that is a wrap for this video. Thank you for watching, everybody. My very best happy planting from me to you in 2022. We'll see you in the next one. Happy planting, everybody. Bye. Axel, you were also a highlight of 2022. We lost our 2 bulldogs early last year, and we got Axel in June. And as I was hoping, he's my garden partner. Love you, Ax.